treasure, curses and gold. Through the labyrinth of doom we fight. In the dark we strike like a beast in the night. Dragons soaring in the sky. No retreat, no fear, we'll never die. Dungeons and dragons, all battles begun. Into the darkness we will run. Raise the sword, cast the spell. In the dungeon's depths we rise or fall in hell. Dungeons and dragons, the fate's in our hands. Fight through the chaos, take a stand. For honor, for glory, we ride the storm. In the heart of the dungeon where legends are born. The goblins creep in the starlit gloom. Undead soldiers march to their doom. We face the fiends, the dark abyss. A dragon's roar we never miss. The sorcerer's power, the warrior's blade. The bard's sweet songs, the rogue's crusade. From the tombs to the shattered sky, we'll stand as one, we'll never die. Through the labyrinth of doom we fight. In the dark we strike like a beast in the night. Dragons soaring in the sky. No retreat, no fear, we'll never die. Dungeons and dragons, all battles begun. Into the darkness we will run. Raise the sword, cast the spell. In the dungeon's depths we rise or fall in hell. Dungeons and dragons, the fate's in our hands. Fight through the chaos, take a stand. For honor, for glory, we ride the storm. In the heart of the dungeon where legends are born. Ancient ones in the lair await. While shadows stalk our every fate. But we'll never falter, never kneel. With every roll our destiny seal. In the forge of fire, in the storm of steel. We fight for glory, we fight to heal. Let the dungeons tremble and fall. We rise, we conquer, we stand tall. Dungeons and dragons, all battles begun. Into the darkness we will run. Raise the sword, cast the spell. In the dungeon's depths we rise or fall in hell. Dungeons and dragons, the fate's in our hands. Fight through the chaos, take a stand. For honor, for glory, we ride the storm. In the heart of the dungeon where legends are born. Through the fire, through the pain, we'll forge our names and break the chains. Dungeons and dragons, forever we fight. In the heart of the dungeon we claim the night. In the shadows where the torchlight fades.
All right, hello everybody, and welcome back to Above Table, a podcast where we talk all about everything TTRPG, with many, many tangents and adventures along the way. I'm your host Fish, and with me today I've got Havoc.
Host? You have it as me acting like I'm a guest or something. The hell, man?
I mean, okay, I'm the one who does the intro.
Okay.
Yeah, fair. We can co-host this one.
I'm just screwing with you. You know I don't care.
Oh, I know. All right, but since we're co-hosting, you want to give us the overview for this episode?
Yeah, no problem. So a little bit about this. So in this episode, we're going to be talking about our different tabletop gaming experiences. Looking at homebrew content, whether that's stuff we've used or created. Looking at our weekly thing of the week. You just really love that name, don't you?
I think it's perfect.
and discussing the pros and cons of the different DM styles. Because, well, lo and behold, me and Fish use 2 different DM styles.
Very different, but they both are great in their own rights.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's a pretty good list of things to go over. So let's go ahead and get into it. Let's go over some of our gaming experience. Obviously, we're both very familiar with D&D, right? So let's start there. How long have you been playing D&D?
I have been playing for 11 years now.
11 years. That's a good amount of time.
11. I've been
Actually, that's
yeah.
that's about how long I've been playing too.
I was very sporadic in the beginning, and I was definitely not DMing. And I think about the total stint of my experience when it came to D&D was Pathfinder.
All right. I've still never actually played Pathfinder. I've looked at the rules a lot, but I've never gotten into it. I've also been playing D&D about 11 years, because when I was still in high school, I played a campaign of 3.5 with a few of my friends. So, lots of experience there. You said you've played some Pathfinder.
Yes.
Let's see, I didn't like that look on your face there.
No, I'm
Did we
just
do
taking
something
care of
wrong
something.
again? All right. Let's see. What about Magic? Because same company, same universe.
So, Magic, I didn't really start playing Magic until about 20... I originally started in 2014, so 10 years. I didn't, truly play until, probably around 2016 when I moved to where I currently live now.
All right, so I've got you beat there, but I'm definitely more of a casual player than you are.
I hyper focus
Yeah.
I hyper focus really bad.
Yeah. No, I started playing Magic. 2008 was when I got my first Magic cards. Built my first standard deck, and lost miserably. I mean, I was 12 years old, so
I think that
it happens.
I started playing the 60 card variant format, not really doing much of anything. And then the after that, when I moved up here is when I started to get into Commander. And then I just haven't looked back since. I've been playing ever since.
Yeah, a lot of people seem to have a problem with Commander because it seems like it's replacing Standard. Personally, I think that's kind of a good thing, though. Change in a card game like that is good, especially in a situation like with Magic, where a lot of people can't keep up with 4 releases a year when Standard only allows the last 4 sets.
It was a little bit more than that. It was 6 for Standard. I remember that.
6?
It was 6. It was a 2-year stint for each thing. Yeah, a
Even
set
then,
would
they're
have.
releasing as many as 5 sets now.
No, they're releasing so much.
I remember, I went out to, I went out for work for about 2 months, and they had just released a set when I left, and I bought a bunch of cards from that set while I was gone, and by the time I got back, it had been replaced already. I want to say that was, I can't remember the name of the set, the Outlaws. Yeah. But that was just earlier this year, and it's already out of Standard. Or at least it's about to be.
Outlaws? No.
Outlaws is 3 or 4 sets old now.
Yeah, it is, but it's not out. They changed the way. with Foundations they changed the way Standard is now.
Okay.
Outlaws, I don't think Outlaws. I'm gonna look it up because rotation.
Obviously,
It's
I'm not.
so Standard is now a 3-year rotation.
Okay, so that's a little bit better then. Obviously, I'm not super up to date on my Standard rules because I play Commander pretty much exclusively.
Yeah, it's just strictly
Um,
the better format.
It is. But recently, I've actually been getting into a new card game. It's called Flesh and Blood. It's made by, I want to say, a New Zealand company.
Yeah,
Um,
I have
but-
a group of people
So-
that are trying to get me into it, and I'm like, I don't want to
So
get into
it's-
another TCG.
It's a genuinely good game, and let me tell you why. Right? It was created by a bunch of professional players from Magic, Pokemon, and Yu-Gi-Oh, who all
Okay.
got together and said, "Hey, there's some great things among all of our games, but there's some things that suck, and I think we can all do better." And then they did. Like, I know you really like to break things in card games and in TTRPGs. They actually have made that almost impossible in Flesh and Blood. Or more,
I mean,
when they recognize that something is broken, that is the only time they ban something, and even then it's not truly banned.
I think
They
that I could
ban-
do a pretty good job at breaking something.
So the way that the rules of the game work in tournaments, it is hard to have something that's actually breakable. Like you can definitely have something that's more powerful than other people's stuff, but it's designed so that you can't win more than 60 or 70% of your games to keep everybody on an equal playing field, assuming everyone's already like of equal skill and experience. You can't just take having more money than somebody else to steamroll the crowd. Like,
Interesting.
and if something does start doing that, they figure out what the mechanic is that's doing that. They there's cards called heroes that basically act as your commander would in EDH, and they don't ban most of the cards. They soft ban the hero and put it in a different format, and it can only compete in that format now. But they keep it alive, letting it compete in that other format. And the ruling of that is if it wins 10 games in a row, that hero is now going to go on to be a living legend, is what they call it.
Okay.
I think you would enjoy Flesh and Blood. I want to get you into it.
I'll have to take a look at it.
I think it's kind of funny though, because Flesh and Blood started out as homebrew content, and I think that's our next topic that we were talking about.
Yeah, I think it is too. Yeah, okay. So if multiple people from different pro tour communities of each different game came to like, hey, let's make it better. Yeah, it's kind of how
That sounds like
that's kind of how Pathfinder came to be a thing when people
Yeah.
were pissed at 3.5.
Which, I mean, 3.5 was that bad a format.
3.5 was not bad. 3.5 was not bad.
It just wasn't great. I mean, it far outweighed its successor. Nobody talks about its successor.
Yeah, what successor?
I think we're talking about 5e, aren't we?
Well, I wouldn't say that it outweighed 5e. It's
No,
different
you're
in
right,
its
it
own
didn't.
ways.
I wouldn't say it outweighed 5e. I think there was something in between there, but but yeah, getting into the homebrew side of things.
So, homebrew rules.
Yep, homebrew rules. And I put this in our show discussion here. Um, but I wanted to talk about specific homebrew rules that we see everywhere we go, right? Like more than half of the tables we've played at would use these rules.
You
The
mean
specific. Go ahead.
things like my homebrew rules, the fact that there's quite a few of them for Asgard.
So I wasn't quite talking about Asgard there. I was talking more about things like potion, like health potions, right? Name me one other potion that is in core D&D where you have to roll to decide how well it works. I'm going to take your silence as a there isn't one.
There isn't. No.
Nope. But with a health potion, even though they take the same amount of time, they all take an action to use, you have to roll to see how much health you get back. Potion of invisibility is going to give me the exact same effect, no matter what.
Okay.
Health potion, I could get 4 HP or I could get 8 HP. Or 10. So I think that's part of the reason we see a lot of tables that homebrew. If you drink it as an action, you just get the full effect, right? And I use that one at my table, and I believe you use it at yours as well.
Yes, I do.
But I like to take on the added rule of you can use the potion as a bonus action. Then you take the standard core rules for drinking it as an action and you just put it on as a bonus action. So you have to roll for it on a bonus action.
Right.
I think that balances it a lot.
Basically, as rolling to see how much you actually get into your mouth.
Yeah, exactly.
I totally stole that from someone else.
Mm-hmm. But what sorts of? I'm curious, what sorts of homebrew rules you were thinking of at the start of this discussion?
So like, obviously we have my crit rule. That was what I learned when I started playing, and it just stuck with me. I because of the rule that I use, I don't like the rules that are written in the book.
I think on critical hits we have the same ruling, or at least on critical success hits.
Yep. We definitely don't have the same critical fail.
No. And I kind of want to flesh out my critical fail table a little bit.
I am way less forgiving than you.
Yeah.
I am way less forgiving.
So what do you do on a crit fail for people who haven't played at your table before?
Crit fails. You do one of three. Yeah, I make nat ones hurt. You do one of three things. You hurt yourself, you hurt your teammate, or you lose whatever it is you're doing. And there's no half damage. Nah, it's straight full damage.
All right. See, because I like to think that I'm a very forgiving DM 90% of the time. That's why I get away with making people cry the other 10%. But with a crit fail for me, it only really affects ranged weapons right now, or ranged attacks in general. But if you crit fail and you have a friend standing within 5 feet to either side between you and your enemy, you hit them instead. You don't roll to hit them, you just hit them. And it deals half damage.
Oh, there was definitely a homebrewed item that I created that you did not want to crit fail with this thing at all whatsoever. You were just going to not have a good time if you crit failed.
I mean, crit fails are supposed to hurt a little bit, but
so the item is a bit of a cursed object. Yeah, cool, sure. The way the thing worked is it didn't crit normally, whether it was a crit success or a crit fail. You know how the death save system works?
I
Right.
am familiar with the death save system.
Okay, imagine that with a crit system. If you crit 3 times, if it's a crit success, it crits. If it's crit fail, so you have a little when I created the item, there was the because when I play tabletop, I create index cards with the items and stuff like that. This one had a laminated chart like the crits, the death saves. That what happened was it was just a simple D4 dagger, +1 because magic weapon. If you
Yeah.
critted, you saved up that crit. It didn't do any normal damage or extra damage or anything like that. It just did normal damage. On the and those crits saved, and each saved crit would deal 2d4 damage when it finally did crit. If the first to 3 was a crit success, well then, because you could hold up to 5 charges, those 5 charges would then unleash and you would crit success on the whatever it is you were hitting. Your only option when you were crit failing was against yourself.
So, if you crit fail, that's what, up to 10d4 at you.
11.
Oh,
because
11d4,
the
yeah,
da-
because
because the
it's
dagger
plus
itself.
1 dagger.
Yep.
Oof.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, that doesn't sound fun.
it hurt, and it was a rogue that had it.
Oh,
He-
plus all that sneak attack and
He almost one-shot himself one time.
ouch. All those d6s.
Especially because it was on a sneak attack, and he was level 11. He almost died.
That's what, 3d6
Yep.
extra? 3 or 4?
Mm-hmm. It was
3, yeah.
3.
So that's 3d6 extra on top of. Oh goodness, yeah. No, that's
He stopped
That's
using the
not
dagger for a bit after that.
I don't think I could use that dagger. There's just too much risk for not all that much reward. Uh-uh.
I loved that dagger.
I mean, as a DM, it's a great toy.
Yes, it was.
Now, what would you say is the most controversial homebrew rule that you use?
I think my multi-classing rule is my most controversial
Why is that?
because the way I do my Fish knows my rule, but the way I do my multi-classing rule is you aspire to your class. So how you play your character is how it determines what multi-classes are open for you. You don't have to have the stat requirements, but it means that if you want to be a wizard sorcerer doing all sorts of things, you actually have to play your character. You can't just go in and really expect to be in the middle of the fight and start doing things, and lo and behold, now you're a fighter or a barbarian. But it makes you think of like, all right, how do I want my character to be if I want him to be this class?
I mean, I can see it driving roleplay and story as well.
Mhm. Like I had in one of my games, and it is like the perfect example for this rule, and it is the greatest. And like the guy playing the character loves this character, and he loves the route that it went. He was playing a Warforged cleric.
Warforged cleric. That's already an interesting combination.
Cleric of the Forge. He was created for the purpose of protecting the adopted daughter of his creator, who was a Tabaxi
Okay.
rogue.
I can see that then.
He'd do his cleric duties and heal up the party and support, but the moment that Tabaxi got hit, he'd stop what he was doing and proceed to beat the living crap out of whatever hit the rogue.
I mean,
It did not
that's
matter.
his prime directive.
No, his prime directive was to protect and heal.
Mm-hmm. That is, in my opinion, the best protection is beat the crap out of whatever is hurting you.
Yeah, understandable. It was his prime direct, but there's I can make it so that way they doesn't get hit. There's so many different other ways. No, proceed to stop what they were doing, even if they were in the process of raising someone else that went unconscious. No, he'd stop what he was doing and go beat the shit out of it. And so I was like, fine. You continue to. He did this for like 4 levels, and I was like, okay, but at some point you've developed a rage issue. You're taking a level in barbarian.
I mean, if there's no enemies to hurt your allies, you don't need to hurt or heal your allies.
Yeah, well, so he went barbarian, and he did ancestral guardians barbarian, and
That's a good subclass.
and it ended up being that he made a better paladin than the paladin in our group, because paladin barbarian plus cleric equals paladin.
I mean, the maths.
But
Yeah,
that's
I would agree, though. Your multi-class rule is probably the most controversial thing you do.
But it makes sense.
It does. Thinking about it, I think my most controversial ruling is spell points, which I think we went over a little bit last week.
Yeah, I believe we did, and like, I really like that. Although I when I was explaining the spell points and stuff, the spell casting classes to Octo this week, I realized that as a warlock, that rule is worthless.
Yeah, but as a warlock, spellcasting shouldn't be your primary focus.
Yeah, no, it shouldn't. But it was one of those. Is like, I was looking through it, and I was like, Fish's spell point rule for warlock is just. There's literally nothing that could be added to it or anything like that. It's just
all that it means is that you can downcast. You can downcast to be able to cast more spells as a warlock.
Mm-hmm.
But you can't upcast. You can't have that variability. You can it is there is very little added benefit specifically as a warlock.
Yep.
However, if you are a multi-caster class spellcaster, and one of them is warlock,
Oh yeah, no, it's really
you can then
good.
take that, and now this warlock not having any benefit from it suddenly makes it so much more useful even than it already is.
Mm-hmm.
Because the warlock gives you extra spell slots on a short rest, and I hate it. As a DM, I love it, but I hate it. Yeah, no, there's good and bad to it, but personally, I really like it. I've had people dislike it because it's a little more complicated, or
It's not though.
it can be. If you don't, if it's not explained to you in a way that makes sense to you, then you have no idea what's going on.
It's just math.
It is just math. But if the math isn't explained to you, then sometimes it's a little bit harder to pick up. But personally, I love it, and we're going to get to play with so much more of that sort of thing. You and me specifically. Starting tomorrow, actually, I think in our offline games.
Uh-huh. I'm excited.
I don't know if I am or not.
The fact that like me and you have been talking about it all week and be like, all right, we need to change this, we need to change that.
Yep.
You need to retcon this.
It is not exhaustion anymore. I need to update that in one of the lists still, but it is no longer. It does not give you exhaustion
It is
because
mana
coffee is a
fatigue.
thing in my game. It is mana fatigue.
For those of you who don't understand, me and him were talking about his new system that he's doing. We're doing a little bit of playtesting tomorrow in our offline campaign. As I'm sitting here tinkering with some of the stuff, I noticed a particular phrase, and I was like, yo, you need to fix this, because otherwise I'm going to abuse the hell out of it.
It was basically overexerting yourself with casting using this new system gives you points. Well, gave you points of exhaustion. However, in my world, there is coffee and caffeine that heals a point of exhaustion.
Potions of exhaustion recovery, which
Potions
I
of
have
exhaustion recovery.
multiples of.
Mm-hmm. And so it would allow, especially a character like what he is playing, that is an absolute tank. It would allow very excessive spellcasting. So I appreciate him pointing that out instead of
Abusing it. Yeah.
abusing it.
You're welcome.
We'll play with it some more, and I'm sure you'll find ways to abuse it, and I'll find ways to fix it.
I mean, you know me. Apparently, everything I do is broken.
That's because everything you do is broken. Speaking of breaking things and things being broken, I think it's time we move on to the weekly thing of the week. And I believe you wanted to talk about the new Illrigger class.
Yes. I'm kind of a little upset. I woke up this morning and I saw the little post about it, and I was like, oh, I just want to deep dive into it. I spent like a solid 2 hours just looking into it, playing through everything. And as I'm about halfway through it, I was like, you know, it would have been great if I had just gone live on the Hellions table and done a reaction type thing to me reading through everything. That'd have been perfect. Nope, didn't have that thought process until midway through, and I'm like, it's too late now. But the Illrigger, by itself, is a pretty solid class. It looks fun. I want to play it. It's a for those of you who don't know it, it is an infernal paladin-ish type thing. No spells unless you take a certain subclass variant. Cool. Revolves around branding and seals, and basically similar concept to how the Blood Hunter does their blood maledicts, and you get different options that do different things. Inherently by itself, solid class. If you multi-class it, it gets broken. Insanely.
Right. Give me an example of a multi-class that breaks it.
Let's see. Fighter. Just straight fighter. Breaks it.
I mean, fighter multi-classes break most things, but...
Yeah, but the aspect of fighters getting access to extra attack, and so the way the class works is you have these seals. You have a certain amount of seals that you can use per short or long rest. When you hit a target, you can immediately apply a seal, or you can use a bonus action to apply a seal at a range. It's like 30 feet. You get different abilities that do different things for this. That if a seal's on a target, it's called an interdict target. and you can choose to burn the seal, meaning basically make the seal go away for additional damage. There are certain abilities that, like, if the target you have has a seal on it, and you make an attack of opportunity, you don't use your reaction to make that attack of opportunity.
Okay, I see fighter breaking that immediately now.
You pick any fighter class, and you give it a ranged weapon, like a 10-foot ranged weapon, like a glaive, and then you take Sentinel. Another seal ability that it has that is, if you make an attack, you can use 5. You can reduce your movement down to 5 feet to basically push the target away. Wait, hold on. Let me reread it. Basically, what happens is the target, you get away from the 5 feet from the target. It can't get near you. It can't go away from you because Sentinel. You just lock it there, and then you can knock it prone. No save required. And you just keep it locked. And Sentinel makes it so that way, even if they try to disengage, it does not matter. They just stay there. Permanently locked, their movement speed reduced to 0.
That sounds like it could be a problem in a lot of combat scenarios.
Me and Dash were one of the abilities inherently by itself not broken. You can put a seal on any target. So you can target your friends with your allies with these seals. If one of the seals is if you target a friend, or if you can see through their eyes up to 300, see through their eyes, hear through their, use their senses for up to a range of 300 feet. Okay. Not bad. I mean, there's a lot of things that could do that. Find familiar, Echo Knight shadows, sure. But the other thing is you can use your seals that normally have a range of 30 feet as if you were there on that target. So if your friend, let's say an invisible cleric that currently has Spirit Guardians up, you can use their seal on. You can use a seal on them, which does not have a saving throw. It just happens.
I got to interrupt right here just to ask. Have you been talking to Moodles?
No, but Moodles, we had the thought about it because we've seen Moodles do it multiple times.
Specifically, the invisibility with Spirit Guardians is something she threw out a few days ago.
Well, yeah, she did it.
The problem is,
she did it a few times.
It works.
Yeah, rules is written. It works, and it's not an attack that Moodles is doing, and so because of that, because of the Illrigger, Moodles wouldn't break invis. Rules is written. It's an attack of the other player.
It is
the Illrigger itself. So Moodles is still invisible. Yet I can just, if I'm playing the spellcast in the subclass, just lob a fireball at a range of 450 feet.
Because you're able to fire it from your invisible cleric.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not them casting the spell.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's gonna be no. Nope, not allowed. Can't allow you to play this class.
There's another ability. It's my favorite. Of all of the abilities, there's 2 in total. One of them is Hellish Frenzy, which if you can burn a seal on a interdicted target, if you do that, you are basically +2 to AC, double movement, and an additional attack action for that turn and that turn only. If you do it right, you because every time you attack, you can put on a new seal once per turn. So if you burn the seal, take in the very first beginning of combat action, you get that hellish frenzy, you get that 1 turn haste, and then take your multiple attacks. And on your last attack, you apply another seal at the beginning of your next turn. Well, you just use hellish frenzy again.
I'm both looking forward and very much not looking forward to the first time I have a player who plays this class. I think we've gone a little bit over time on that segment.
Oh, sorry.
I want to hear more.
I got excited about it.
Yeah, you did. That's what I like to see. But we'll have to come back to it and talk about it after playtesting with the Illrigger a little bit, because I want to see how it works in practice. See, I see we've got listed here one more little topic we wanted to hit on, which is our different DMing styles, which I think we talked about a little bit ahead of time, or at the start. But I think proactive versus reactive specifically is what we're talking about, because you are what I would call a proactive DM versus me being a reactive DM. Where I see the difference here is my entire notebook for what I am writing down during sessions is... Hold up, give me a second. It is this size. Like, just this little notebook here. And I've filled about the first 15 pages of it.
Oh, Jesus.
And then I've got other notes, like, elsewhere, just piecing story bits together as we go. But, like, that's
You're
just...
gonna throw me under a bus here, aren't you?
Yes, I am.
Uh,
So, the way that I do my DMing is I give you guys roughly 50% of a completed world and just open it up and give you an environment. And I've got a couple of NPCs and people that you'll talk to in different towns already prepared. That is, aside from combat encounters, that is all of the prep that I do for any given session. Everything else happens reactive to what you guys do. I give you guys a playground, and the playground reacts to your actions.
I will state that in the beginning, I was the same way. I maybe have a good chunk of the world built, and then we'd go about whatever it is, and I'd be very much reactive. I think that at a certain point in time, I got sick and tired of creating a world, of creating one every single time I started a new campaign. And I think that the last world that I created, I just kept using. And I let all of my prior stories, good chunk of characters and stuff like that, are characters that have played in my world.
See, that's part of the beauty of my specific reactivity is every different campaign is set in the same world in different countries around the world.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm able to still use that. Like my previous campaign was set 3-ish hundred years in the past in the same world in basically the next country over from where you guys are at. You've been there.
Yep.
Actually, the house that you went to in that capital city was owned by the previous party.
Yeah. I have a lot of depth when it comes to more things fleshed out because I've already fleshed them out with my other players.
See,
And
that's what we're doing here too.
So like I've changed NPCs, and like I'm proactive in the I have certain points that like you guys will get through. They're like, all right, so this is what I want to do. This is the direction I want the party to start going, and then after that, we haven't really gotten into the full on just do whatever the hell you want type of thing, just because you guys have been on the run and trying to survive and all of that fun stuff.
Torrent's kind of he's not softening up really at all, but he's starting to develop some genuine
personality.
I'll say interest. He's got personality. His personality is just grumpy old guy. But he's starting to develop some sort of genuine interest in the continued existence of his party members.
To include Hong?
To include Han. Kind of.
Kind of.
Mostly he just doesn't want this stupid cat getting himself killed. Because he doesn't want to deal with the paperwork.
Understandable.
Yeah. But it's, see, that's something that comes about because your world is so proactively built. Like, the characters aren't really, well, they are a little bit changing the world, but the world exists. They are existing within it.
Mm-hmm.
Versus with my world, they are building it as they go, basically.
Right.
Actually, how many binders do you have on Asgard now?
I have 2 3-inch binders full, 7 composition notebooks, and 12 of these green little schmucks. Plus countless files of... Look, these little green notebooks are phenomenal. Okay?
No, I have several of them as well.
They're phenomenal because I can't
I've
take
got blue ones though.
I can't take a notebook. I can't take my 3-inch binder with me when I'm sitting there on a console or computer at work or anything like that. But when I have an idea, and I'm like, oh, let me jot that down real quick. I'll jot it down, and lo and behold, I'll go home and I'll start expanding on that idea.
Because of the pockets on my work clothes, I have sent multiple of those notebooks through the washer.
Yeah, I've sent a few of them through too. But yeah, it's just one of those. It's like, because like I'm always thinking of stuff. I was like, you spend 8 hours on a computer at work doing absolutely jack shit nothing. You're bound to think of the things to pass the time, and one of those things is D&D for me.
Yeah, D&D is a great way to pass time. You start playing and you look up and it's been 6 hours and you're still like getting through introductions. But yeah, I think that's about where we're going to wrap up for tonight. But it's definitely a fun subject. And it's fun to play in different worlds that have different styles of guidance and DMing.
I honestly I like going through and seeing how each individual different DM style is. Just because it's one of those is like, oh, I didn't even think of that. Like that's pretty cool.
I think we've been playing D&D together for less than 6 months, and I think we've already both grabbed a couple of things from each other's stuff.
Yup.
But yeah, I think that's where we're going to go ahead and end off for tonight. We will be continuing this discussion for a few minutes after we end the recording. But if there's anything that you would like us to talk about, anything you think we should discuss, any suggestions, any scenarios that you want us to look at, please email us. It's right there at the bottom of the screen, hattpodcast@gmail.com. And feedback as well. If you think that there's something we can do better, we'd love to see it.
Amazing shout out to one of our artists, Soul Trees, she's the one that made the starting soon screen at the very beginning. She also made an ending one, but I just didn't get the chance to implement it yet or anything like that. So, but
hopefully we'll have it Sunday. But
yes, we will have it for Sunday. Speaking of Sunday, we're gonna be live. We're gonna be doing Asgard.
mm-hmm.
It's gonna be fun. I'm excited.
I'm excited.
I am so excited. I have some things planned.
See, that scares me as a player.
It should.
About as much as it scares everybody else when I say the same thing. So
It
fair.
should. It's just,
We're all gonna die, aren't we?
no. No.
Okay. But yeah, thank you for everyone who's hung out and watched, and once this finally gets onto the listening sites, thanks to everyone who listens in. And
I will upload it tonight and set it for release tomorrow morning.
Awesome.
So we're going to do a scheduled drop. For those of you that are interested, we're going to play games after this on our respective channels, right, Fish?
I think I could go live here in a few minutes.
Power World? We gonna go
What's
back
that?
to Power World? Are we gonna go back to Power World?
I don't know. Do I want to do Power World, or do I want to go pretend to be a trucker?
We'll figure it out.
Yeah, we'll figure it out.
But
I think that's going to depend on if my flight wheel works for trucking simulators.
we're both gonna be live on our respective channels. I'm gonna probably be playing Power World, or I'm probably gonna be playing Marvel Rivals if Fish doesn't play Power World. I'm kind of like tied between 4 different games right now, and it's kind of annoying.
Oh, same. I love it when that happens because there's so many things that I can do, but I hate it when that happens because decision paralysis.
Exactly, decision paralysis, and I wish I could just clone myself so I could play all 4 games at once.
You know how many times I've sat at my computer with all the drive to play like 5 different games and sat here for an hour not pulling a single one of them up because I don't know which one I want to do most?
Oh man, I understand.
You've done
perfectly.
the same thing.
Yep, multiple times.
All right. Well, I think I'm gonna see if this wheel works, and if it does, then I'll do trucking, and if it doesn't, then I'll do Power World.
All right.
I know I've got a driving wheel somewhere, but I haven't unpacked it. I've only lived in this house for like a year and a half, so you know. But all right, well, I think that's gonna do it for us then. We're approaching that hour mark. So
Nice,
Yeah.
short and sweet, super simple.
yep. I like these 40 to 45 minute podcast bits with a few minutes at the end to discuss. Speaking of, we should start integrating chat into the last few minutes.
Yes.
Um,
I was gonna say something. Oh, before we do anything, I did want to say that our Discord is now open.
Ooh, open
our
Discord.
our D&D Discord is now completely open. If you guys are interested in joining, you can do !Smart Discord into the chat and it'll pop up. You'll be able to catch us there. Thank you, Fish. And we'll be able to, like, you can keep updated about when the new episodes drop, when we're going live again, things of that nature.
There's always the occasional possibility that we'll be hanging out in the open chats and gaming as well. And if we're there, feel free to drop in. But yeah, that'll do it for us. Yeah. I'm gonna say everybody have a good night.
All right, we'll see you later, nerds. We'll see you on Sunday.
See you Sunday.